Hey guys, it's Jan, and today we're going to review the LaCrosse BC-700. See if you guys can see that. Yep, this. If you guys have been watching my recent motor videos, you would know that this is the charger that I use whenever I do peak charging before each speed test, and this has been pretty useful for me. I use this primarily when I go and use if I'm able to do any peak charging during the races, and even then, right before each test, if I do like a first run, I usually charge my batteries with these at the venue before I do my testing. And today we're going to go through the features and the ins and outs of this charger. And without further ado, we're going to go switch to that. Hey guys, so this is the LaCrosse BC-700, and as you can see, it takes 4 slots. So if you want to, you could actually charge different batteries all at the same time. Like you could actually charge a AA nickel metal hydride, a AAA nickel metal hydride with a AA nickel cadmium battery if you wanted to, and you could set those individually. But we're going to go through the features slowly, bit by bit, and then show you how it works out. The charger as a whole comes with its own power supply, so you gotta worry about that if you have to take these to races. And it actually doesn't take up much space, and if you compare it to the size of a car, it basically is the same size as a regular like technical car. When you first pop the batteries in, it'll automatically start charging at 200 milliamps if you don't do anything. So we're gonna go through the features now, and just gonna go through them bit by bit so that I could explain how they work and what they do. And the power brick actually comes with a regular prongs for the states. And I'm not actually 100% sure, but like in other countries this actually comes with other power bricks, or maybe even power adapters. I'm not sure, because that's what we got in the States. And then when you first plug it in, you get null, basically saying there's no batteries in it. And there's 4 different modes, and the first mode of the charger that I'll show you is the charger. It's a charging mode. So this is the basic mode. These are just the Panasonic BK3 MCCA, and we're gonna go plug those in. So right away it says charge, and when it's there, you can choose how much current you want to push through. So right now it's pushing 200 milliamp hour battery, 200 milliamp hours, milliamps I mean, into the battery. And if I plug them back in, I could choose different currents. So it goes from 200 to 500 to 700, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select that. So it's 200 right now. If I want to, I could go to 500, and then for peak charging, especially for high speed races, this is what you want to use for this charger, 700 milliamps. And after a bit, it'll start charging. And this is one of the key things in this charger that's the best that I actually like about it, is that I could start changing the display and the information. So right when it's charging right now, I could tap the display and say, okay, right now it's charging 700 milliamps, and it's right now at 1.34 volts. Tap that again, and this is the elapsed time, basically how much time has passed while it's charging. It hasn't really passed so much time. And in here, this tells me the amount of current that's being pushed into the battery. That's what it is. It's 694 milliamps. And those are the 3 main things that it displays while you're charging. There you go. Oh, there's another one. That's right, I was looking for it. This is how much current, how much capacity has been pushed into the batteries. So it says here 100 milliamps actually. This is what it's saying. It has taken 100 milliamps, 120 milliamps, 130 now. The capacity, the battery has been charged for that much. Let's see. Now it's taken about a minute to charge, so that's how it works. That's how the charge mode works. Now we're gonna go ahead and take these off, and then we're gonna go switch to discharge mode. Okay, so with the discharge mode, in order for you to change modes, after you plug the batteries in, you have to press mode and wait for it to change. Now it's at discharge, and over here you could actually start changing the discharge, what do you call it, the discharge rate. So I'm toggling through the three different kinds. That's 100 milliamps, 250, and then at 350. So 350 you could pull more pull more current from the battery so that you could discharge it faster. At 250 it's about the same. It's a little less. And then we're gonna go to 100. 100 is the least amount of drain that you could use. And if you really want to push, to train your battery so that it could discharge fast, I suggest you use 350, but it basically starts shortening the life of your battery. So if you keep using this discharge cycle, but you don't really need to for nickel metal hydride. This feature is primarily here for older batteries like the nickel cadmiums, if you still had them. So if you really want to drain nickel cadmiums really quickly, use a discharge, because that's what you need. If you don't discharge your nickel cadmium batteries, they will retain the memory effect, and it will lower the capacity more quickly over time as you use it for discharging. So we're gonna, let's see if I can switch modes through here. Nope, guess not. So we're gonna go through, there you go. Okay, nope, null again. So we're gonna go to the next mode, if I remember correctly, is the discharge refresh. Now we're gonna go on to the discharge retest. Press mode, and then you'll see it show discharge. Now you're gonna keep pressing until you get to the discharge refresh. Now in the discharge refresh mode, you could set the discharge rate. And what this does is it goes back to the way the discharge works. It basically allows you to choose the discharge rate of the battery when you're going to be using the discharge refresh mode. And what this mode does is that this is how you're going to refresh old batteries, or batteries that just came out of a new package of a set of batteries that you just bought. So when you use the discharge refresh, it'll cycle through discharge cycles. It'll discharge first, and then after it discharges, it'll start recharging the battery again. And so these are the different capacities. If you pick, let's say 350, it'll discharge at 350, and then it'll charge at 700 milliamps. If you pick let's go back to 250, it'll discharge at 250 and then charge at 500. Now if you pick 100, it'll discharge at 100 milliamps and then charge at 200 milliamps. That's how it works. And it'll continue doing that cycle. You have to pick which one first. So right now what I'm going to do is pick it at 250, and what it's going to do, if I just let it run, usually it'll take a couple of days to refresh a set of batteries, and it will discharge it repeatedly up until, like, every charge, it'll detect the maximum voltage, and then it'll remember what it is. So after each charge cycle, right after the discharge, it's going to check how high it can push the voltage. And if it'll discharge again, and then it'll charge back up, and then it'll check if there's a change. If it actually lets the battery push it, the voltage. If you could push the voltage further than it was before, then it'll keep discharging and recharging up until it doesn't gain any more voltage from the last charge that it did. And once it does that, it stops. So it knows that the battery has basically gone through the proper charge cycle, and it's basically refreshed, and it's good to go for racing. And that's usually the best thing to do. Like whenever I buy new batteries, I let it run through the discharge cycle for, I discharge it at 350 milliamps and charge it at 700 milliamps to speed up the process, because at like 250 and 500, it takes a long time, sometimes like 3 days, to go through a refresh cycle. And at 100 and 200, you know, at 100 discharge and then 200 milliamp cycle, charge cycle, it takes way too long. Sometimes maybe like 5 days or, you know, like that. At the what do you call it? At 350 and 700, it takes about 2 days. And after 2 days, you're basically done and you're set for basically racing those new batteries that you just put in. And then we're gonna go through the next mode. Let's go through the next mode. Unplug this. Drop some batteries. See if we could get to the discharge test one. There you go. Next, discharge refresh, charge test. So what this is gonna do, actually what it's gonna do is charge the battery and then drain it and then charge it again. So in this mode, you could actually do the same thing as the other discharge refresh mode. You could also set the currents. So we're gonna go to that mode again. If we can, yep. Discharge. Discharge refresh, charge test. And then we're gonna set the current. You can set the current at 700. The same rules apply. 200 charge. Once you pick the 700 charge, it'll discharge at 700 right afterwards, and then recharge it back up using the 700 milliamps. So the difference between charge test and discharge refresh is that charge test will only do it once. So what this is going to do is it's going to charge it right now with 700 milliamps all the way up to its maximum capacity, which on this set of batteries I know is around like 1.54 or 1.55 depending on which generation. It's going to go push it up to its maximum that it can take, and then it'll discharge, and then it'll charge it back up again using the same current. So it'll charge, so the setting I chose is at 700 milliamps, it'll charge at 700 milliamps and then discharge at 350 milliamps, and then after that it's going to charge one more time up until it's full using the 700 milliamps setting that I chose. And those are the modes, and basically that's all of the features that you have to that are the most common, because most of the time when you're racing cars, those are really the most what do you call it, relevant modes. The most that I usually use for this is that, like, whenever I plug new batteries in that I want to peak charge. Let's say I want to charge these what do you call it, these nickel cadmiums, and I want to charge them at 700 right before a high-speed race, because usually nickel cadmium, that's what they're best for. They're super light batteries and they push a lot of current out. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna push these in. This is a 1000 milliamp hour capacity, 10 RGs. Push those in. So now two of them are at separate what do you call it, voltages. One of them is higher than the other. So right now, what I typically do is when I peak charge batteries, I typically set it at 700 milliamps and then let it charge on its own, basically. That's it. So now it's charging at 674, 675. Now I wait for the display and I wait for it to max out. And typically these batteries reach around like 1.54, if I remember correctly. And I wait until I see that, and I don't wait until it starts to say full, because when it starts to say full, it'll start to trickle charge, and trickle charge actually goes into a lower what do you call it, charge state, where it'll charge at around like 100 milliamps instead of like the 700 milliamps. So basically that is the mode that I usually use for whenever I'm at races, and then I use them for peak charging. And there you have it, guys. That's the LaCrosse BC-700. If you guys would like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe and share, all that jazz. And thanks for watching. Go race.